This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage Week number 3 in the National Football League. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Minnesota Vikings, Case Keenum. It was the Case Keenum show. And it's funny because leading up to this game, everybody in the winners and losers pick'em pool wanted to change their pick when they found out Sam Bradford. And it crossed my mind. I'm not gonna sit and lie to you, act like I'm above wanting to change my pick. I thought about it. It crossed my mind. It was a fleeting thought. Okay. I said, nah, I don't want to open Pandora's box. I'm not changing my pick. I'm not allowing anybody else to change their pick. But it sounded like the logical thing to do. We all know who Case Keenum is. We watched him play against Pittsburgh in week 2. No one wanted to see that again. At least that's what we thought. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers definitely don't want to see Case Keenum again. But in any event, we thought, oh, hell, here we go. Case Keenum starting again. Little did we know he had something in store for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I got a guy that that's my guy, okay? My man Reed. All right. We've been chopping it up for the longest, man. And he's a Buccaneers fan. And after they won last week, and look, they beat the Bears, man. The Bears. There was so many Bucs fans talking so much cold, hard trash. I mean, cold, hard cash trash last week. You would have thought they took New England out back and put 2 in their dome. It was just the Bears. And yes, it was impressive, but it was the Bears. Okay? So that being said, I told him that was nice. It was the Bears. And I also said on my Winners and Losers show, I don't see Tampa Bay going to Minnesota and winning. And he leaves me a message in the comment section saying, what do we have to do to get you to believe? Beat Case Keenum on the road. That's what you got to do to get me to believe. You want to know why at the beginning of the season, before the season started, when I predicted records for all the teams in the National Football League, and I predicted this Bucs team to take a step back at 7-9. You want to know why I did that? Because they're a young team and they've got this type of performance in them. Yes, it's early in the season. Yes, they're still trying to figure things out. They weren't young and trying to figure things out last week when they beat the brakes off the Bears, were they? Oh, no. Every Bucs fan in the world thought that this team was coming and they were going to do this and they were going to do that. They're a young team. They're going to make mistakes, right? And when they come up against good teams on the road, they're going to struggle. That's the difference between good teams in this league and young teams in this league that are good, that have a chance, but aren't there yet. Is that the good teams in this league, they'll go in your house and disrespect you, come out with a W. And the young teams don't know how to do that. They don't travel well. At home, they're dangerous. Okay, the Tennessee Titans right now, at the crib, you don't want to see those boys. Now, you bring them over to your house, and I don't know how they're going to act. I don't know. I worry about them, but I feel more confident about them because they can run the ball, something that the Buccaneers cannot. That scares me because if you want to go on the road and beat somebody, you need to be able to run the football. At worst, play defense. I didn't see the Bucs do either one of those things in this road loss to Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to talk about this in a second. But before we do, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I've got multiple social media platforms that I am on. It's all in the description down below. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG. Find me, follow me, like it, do all of those things. It's all in the description. Also, you can donate to the Louie T Network. That's also in the description, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this program as to how you can donate to the channel. And finally, if you're out there, you're watching this, and you want to comment, use the hashtag #LouieTLive to have your voice heard at the end of this breakdown. That being said, we'll start with the Vikings and them getting the win 34-17 at the crib to go to 2-1 on the season with Case Keenum at quarterback, and that's where we'll start. Wow, career performance for Case Keenum. He was outstanding in this. Who's that masked man? Who is that masked man? That damn sure wasn't Case Keenum. That was an out-of-body experience. That man turned back the clock to when he was at Houston, slinging the football around. He thought he was back in the AAC or whatever the hell they called it back in those days when he was playing in that conference. Because he mopped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense up. I mean, had his way with those boys. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, who they've been doing this all season long, in case you haven't been paying attention. Those boys have been eating all year long. Nothing has changed. The only thing that changed was the guy under center pulling the strings and handing the football off. But other than that, those dudes have been balling. Dalvin Cook has been balling. And the party didn't stop here in this game. At home, the Vikings have been dominant this year. The one road game, they had Case Keenum for the first time, and he didn't get all the reps. That was the excuse. He didn't get all the reps in practice. Whatever. I've seen Case Keenum before. I know what he's capable of. Or maybe I don't, because I didn't know he was capable of a 369-yard performance with only 8 incompletions and 3 touchdown passes. And no, I repeat, no interceptions. I didn't know he was capable of that. And so, hats off to Case Keenum, man. God damn, that was impressive, bruh. I didn't know you had it in you. That was damn impressive. The deep ball on the first possession. Case, stop. Not you. Not you. Really? You can do that? What? It's crazy, man. Case was throwing dimes all over the field. It was nice. I'm not going to lie. I'm happy for him because I kill Case Keenum every single chance I get. And that man went out and shredded this Bucs defense. And to that, I say salute to Case Keenum for a career day against the Buccaneers, man. 25 of 33, 369, 3 touchdowns. Damn! That's impressive. Dalvin Cook continues to be one of the most impressive rookie running backs. He's still second to Kareem Hunt this season, but Dalvin Cook continues to be impressive. Another 97 yards. Caught it out of the backfield as well. He continues to be a dual threat problem for teams to stop, and this is exactly what the Vikings need right now, especially with Sam Bradford being out and having to rely on Case Keenum. What he did was outstanding in week 3, but let's not get it twisted. Case Keenum throwing it another 10 times may have been disastrous. There may have been 2 interceptions in there. So to scale him back, 33 is still a lot for Case Keenum, but to be able to turn around and hand it off 27 times to Dalvin Cook and whoever else you want to hand it off to, the secret weapon or whomever, that speaks volumes as to how much they trust and believe in Dalvin Cook's ability to get it done, knowing that he won't put the ball on the carpet, knowing that he'll eventually pop one, which he did in this game. They love what he brings to the table, and he continues to be a consistent force for them out of the backfield. And that's imperative for this Vikings team if they're going to succeed in 2017. So the offense, I thought, was outstanding. They gave Case Keenum time in the pocket to survey the field and make the right decision, and that's what he did time and time again, whether it was Thielen, whether it was Stephon Diggs, whether it was Jarius Wright for a touchdown. He found the right man in this game and made the Buccaneers pay each and every single opportunity that he got. And so, wow, that was amazing. Who knew Case Keenum was capable of this? Who knew? Defensively, that's what the Vikings do. They muck you up. And really, that's essentially what they did to the Bucs. The Bucs were asking, what the muck is going on? And the Vikings said, what the buck, man? They forced 3 interceptions to Jameis Winston, and we're going to get to Winston in a second in that offense, but they got after Winston. They made him uncomfortable. They flushed him out of the pocket. They forced him into some bad decisions and bad throws, and your end result is 3 interceptions. I thought they were exceptional. I thought they were the difference in this game. Obviously, Case Keenum going bananas helps. But if this had turned into a shootout, I don't think the Vikings win this game. And so they needed the defense to get stops because even with how well the defense played, Jameis Winston still threw for over 300 yards, and still this Buccaneers offense put up 17 points going into the fourth quarter where they were shut out. But make no mistake about it, they were in this ball game. It seemed like they were out of it, but they were in it at 31-17 going into the fourth quarter. I never once thought they were going to come back and make a game of it, but you just never know. Case Keenum is still your quarterback. You just never know, and that's the luxury that the Vikings have right now to turn around and hand to Dalvin Cook and take some of that pressure off of Case Keenum so he doesn't feel that he has to win the game by himself. And so I thought the defense was outstanding. You know, you got it done against a talented young quarterback in Jameis Winston. You forced him into some mistakes. You took away their run game and made it non-existent, and you told Jameis Winston, you got to win the game by yourself. Good luck. You're going to need it. And he wasn't able to do so. And that's a testament to this Vikings defense, Mike Zimmer, and what they do in Minnesota. Like I said, they muck the game up and they make it tough on your quarterback to succeed, and they make it tough on your run game, and they force the hand of your offensive coordinator to go away from what they probably wanted to do in the game, which is stay balanced, and they make you just throw the football, and they start teeing off on you, and guys like Everson Griffin start to come after you, and Danielle Hunter start to come after you, and all of a sudden now you got guys that you had no idea who they are, Shamar Stephen coming after you, and next thing you know, your quarterback has thrown 3 interceptions. So hats off to the Vikings defensively for getting it done against a talented Bucs offense. All-around team effort and team win for the Vikings. This was impressive, especially with Case Keenum at quarterback. This was ultra impressive, even more so because of who was under center and how you were able to go out and execute on both sides of the football. You go to the Bucs in this game, it's why I don't think they're ready. Offensively, they've got all the talent in the world, but it starts with the quarterback. And Jameis Winston even said it in Hard Knocks, that he is who he is. Like at a certain point, you got to realize a quarterback is who he is, and he's going to do what it is he does. And he's a guy that when he's under duress, doesn't know when to give up on a play. He did another stupid-ass pass that should have been picked off. Luckily, Cameron Brate came out of nowhere and caught it in between 3 Vikings. How the hell he was able to finagle his way through the crowd and get to the football first is beyond me, but you can't do that. It's similar to that preseason pass versus the Jags in which you ask yourself, what the hell is he thinking? And then you ask him, and he can't explain it other than I do what I do. And so you're going to have more of those. That's what this guy does. You apply pressure, he will do something foolish with the football. He's got that kind of Brett Favre in him where he just doesn't know when to give up on a play. And that's a gift and a curse because sometimes it's going to benefit him to not give up on a play, but sometimes it's going to bite him and his team in the ass. And it almost got him there, but it got him throughout this game. I mean, he forced the ball. I want to say it was Mike Evans down the field in like triple coverage. It tips off his fingers and it's picked off by Andrew Sendejo. He forced the ball. There was a pick he tried to throw to Deshaun Jackson. Jackson got mixed up with a defender, but I don't even think if Jackson wasn't impeded that ball was going to get to him as a bad throw. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, 3 interceptions and 2 of them I looked at and I said, bro, you can't do that. And he could have had a 4th, like easily had a 4th when he threw the one up for grabs that Cameron Brate came down with. That's going to stop this team from winning some games. He's going to have 2 or 3 more games like this throughout the course of the season where he throws 2 or 3 interceptions and it costs this team. They're coming. That's Jameis Winston. But in that same breath, I know how dynamic this guy can be, and I know what he's capable of. And because of that, I remain confident in this Bucs offense and the talent that they have and their ability to score points and win games this season. I just think because he's not ready mentally to take that next step as a quarterback and the leader of this team, and there's so many young parts around him and new guys that he's got to figure out how to manage. Because Deshaun Jackson at some point is going to get pissed off because he's not getting enough touches. I can vouch for that as a Redskins fan. He's going to come back to the huddle and tell him, I'm open. And if he's not getting enough touches, and And if he's not getting looks and he thinks he's open, he's going to throw a temper tantrum on the sideline. He's going to get pissed off, and then Jameis is going to try to handle it, and it's going to blow up even more, and it's going to turn into an ugly situation. And so you've got egos to manage as a leader. He's already got enough on his plate. Now he's got egos to manage. So I'm anxious to see how all of this kind of comes together for the Buccaneers, because there are more games like this on the schedule where you just get roughhoused, Jameis Winston gets dominated, and you give up 27, 30, 33, 34, 36 points, and you only score 13, 17, or 20, and you lose going away. There are more of these on your schedule. And I want to see how this team handles that. How does Jameis Winston handle Deshaun Jackson and him crying for the football? It's going to happen. Facts. I can't wait till Doug Martin gets back. I'm so over, and I said this last week, this is the last time I'm going to say anything about it. Even if he has 15 carries for 15 yards next week, I swear I won't say anything about it next week. But I'm so over Jacquizz Rodgers being your starting running back. I'm over it. All right. I can't wait till Doug Martin's suspension is over. That's the last thing I'm going to say about that. I'm going to go to this Bucs defense. I know you were dealing with some injuries. I get it. I understand. But there's no excuse for Case Keenum to carve you like this. None. Get pressure on the quarterback. Force him into some mistakes. Make him feel uncomfortable. Take away the run game. Make Case. That was supposed to be the game plan going in. Take away Dalvin Cook in the run game. Make Case Keenum beat you. That's what the Steelers did last week. That's how they won the game. Now, you could argue the Vikings themselves took Dalvin Cook away. I voiced my displeasure with that last week. That you have to remain resilient in the run game despite it working or not working. You have to continue to run because Case Keenum is your quarterback. Well, they did that in this game. And they basically ran for 4 yards a pop. But the goal was supposed to be make them quit running the football. Load the box if you have to. And make Case Keenum beat you. And he beat you. But he was too comfortable in beating you, though. It was too easy. It was too easy. That's disappointing. And I know this Vikings team is a good football team. I don't think any less of the Buccaneers because of this game. I don't. I told you I thought you were a 7-9 team before the season. I still think you're a 7-9 team. With the ability to go 9-7 if the ball bounces your way. But this whole talk of 11-5 and 10-6 and double-digit wins, I don't see it. I don't. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I just don't see it with this team. And it's games like this that reaffirm my position. And if I ever started to waver, which I didn't, but if I ever started to waver, it's games like this that I can look back on and say, this is why they're going to be 7-9. It's games like this, since you asked me what do we have to do to get you to believe, it's games like these that you need to find a way to win that will get me to believe. But I don't think you're capable of winning, which is why I don't believe. So there you have that. But I need more out of Gerald McCoy. He was a non-factor in this game. I need more out of Spence. He was a non-factor in this game. Noah Spence is your best pass rusher. You need your best pass rusher to step up in games like this. They didn't. I heard nothing from those dudes. In any event, you didn't do enough defensively. You damn sure didn't do enough offensively. And your end result is a 34-17 loss at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. So, Vikings go to 2-1 on the season. Bucs fall to 1-1. Remember, they're off along with the Dolphins because of Irma. They didn't play in week 1. So they're always going to be one game behind everybody else until we start hitting some of these bye weeks, which will be here in a couple of weeks. So let's get to some comments, if there are any out there, before we get out of here. X Final Gaming says, how good do you think the Vikings will be for the rest of the season? Hard to say. Hard to say. It's too early to start projecting where teams are going to go off of what we've seen in the first 3 weeks of the season. If you've learned nothing through the first 3 weeks, then you haven't been paying attention. But if you've been paying attention, then you should have learned, if you didn't already know this, which you should if you're a football fan, that expect the unexpected early on in the season. We won't find out who teams really are until about week 6. That's when I really start to say, okay, I know who you are. I know who you are. I think I know what teams are right now, but you can't be certain. This is the same team that last week on the road looked inept offensively, and then look what they did at home versus the Bucs the following week. I mean, you don't really know what to make of the Vikings quite yet. I know what this defense is. I do know that much. This defense is legit. What will this offense be, and how consistent will they be? That's the question you got to ask yourself. How healthy is Sam Bradford? Is he able to stay healthy? How good will Teddy Bridgewater be when he comes back? Can you rely on him at the quarterback position? These are all questions you got to ask yourself. You're not going to win double-digit games with Case Keenum at quarterback. This was nice. This was cute. This was fun. But you can't rely on Case Keenum week in and week out to do this. So you need Sam Bradford. You need Teddy Bridgewater to be good, and you can't necessarily count on those guys. So it's hard to really say. He says, also, how do you see the NFC North going by the end of the season? Again, hard to say. The Packers are injured. They're banged up, but they're finding a way to win. The Bears are a scary team. I told you this before the season started, that the Bears were going to scare the hell out of some teams and beat some teams that they have no business beating. They just did that last week. They're going to scare the hell out of the Packers, I believe, on Thursday night. I still think the Packers are going to find a way to win, but they're going to scare the hell out of them. This is a wide open division. The Lions are good. I haven't watched the game yet, but they picked Matt Ryan off 3 times, took one of them to the crib. The Lions are good this season. This is going to be a fun division to watch. Rocco17 says, you're a Buck hater. We had L.A.B injured and still no Doug Martin. Winston making dumb, erratic throws. Play calling from Cotter was terrible. So you basically just regurgitated everything I said, but I'm a Buck hater. I don't understand that. If you were talking to me, which I assume because you angled the comment at me and then told me I'm a Buck hater and then proceeded to repeat everything that I just said. The fact that you had injuries, the fact that I'm tired of seeing Jaquiz Rodgers as your starting running back. And then I followed up that by saying, man, I can't wait till Doug comes back. And then I said, Jameis makes a bunch of mistakes, and this is coming because this is what he does. And then you proceeded to repeat everything I just said, but I'm a Buck hater. Cool. Buffalo pregame says, how good of a team do you think Minnesota can be? I personally predicted they would be 5-11, but with wins like this makes me rethink it a little bit. They're not a 5-11 team just because of how good they are defensively. You can't lose 11 games with the way they play defense. It's not happening. I think I predicted them at like 9-7, 10-6, something like that this year. So they're right around. They're right around where I thought they would be. So we'll see. Silver says, I believe Diggs is the real deal. I sat on him in my fantasy league because Bradford was out, shaking my damn head. Don't ever sit on Stephon Diggs, man. He's one of those few guys that I don't care who the quarterback is, he's still going to ball. He's not like T.Y. Hilton who will go missing on a milk carton on you for 3 weeks at a time and then show up randomly. Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are legit. And it doesn't really matter who's at quarterback. Stephon Diggs is one of them type of dudes that you could throw him a hitch and he'll turn it into a 40-yard game. Like, those are the kind of dudes that you don't ever sit down in fantasy. The kind of guys that you just get the ball in their hands and they can make something happen. You don't ever sit those dudes down. Rocco17 says you acting hype because the Redskins look nice against Oakland. My team has nothing to do with how bad your team looked on the road versus Minnesota. Nothing. The two don't go together. They're not. They don't even have one. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. They are separate entities. They are mutually exclusive. My team playing the way that they played, which I'm not taking that and running with it, has nothing to do with the way your team played. Rodney Ray says the Bucs didn't get pressure on Keenum. Shaking my head. That was the key to the game for me, is that they couldn't stop the run. They didn't force Keenum to beat them, and they didn't get pressure on him and heat him up. They needed to come after him and make him uncomfortable, and they never really did. Eagle Speed says, can the Vikings make the playoffs? Absolutely they can. They can win that division. Like, nothing's out of the realm of possibility. They can win that NFC North division. Absolutely, they can win, make the playoffs. So, in any event, that's going to do it for this breakdown. Vikings hosting the Bucs, getting the win 34-17. Buccaneers got to play better. And against the good teams in this league, and the Vikings, I consider them a good team in this league, got to play better. You got to bring your A game. And this was definitely not their best effort. And it doesn't matter. You can sit and make them excuses about injuries. Everybody's got injuries. Their quarterback was out. I don't want to hear anything about injuries. I don't want to hear about we had a ton of injuries, yada, yada, yada. Their quarterback was out. The most important piece of your team is missing. And a guy that's been a journeyman quarterback, he shouldn't be able to come out and put 369 and 3 touchdowns on your skull and set a career high for passing yards on you like it's nothing. And he did that. So for that, I say kudos to the Bucs, the Vikings for getting it done. And the Bucs back to the drawing board. I believe you got the Giants next week, if I'm not mistaken. That's a game, and I believe you're at home for that game. And if I am correct in my assessment, you may be on the road, you may be at home. They're struggling. Go get them. That's one you got to get. But in any event, Vikings go to 2-1 on the season. Bucs fall to 1-1 with a 34-17 loss at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I've got 3 more games to break down leading up to our Monday Night Football contest between the Arizona Cardinals, who are hosting for the first time at home this season, the Dallas Cowboys. Should be a lot of fun. Both teams at 1-1 looking to move to 2-1 on the season. Up next, I've got Falcons and Lions. After that, I got Titans and Seahawks. And after that, I've got Chargers hosting the Chiefs. If you want to donate to the Louie T Network, that's how you do it. Using that link, it's in the description. It'll take you straight to PayPal where you can donate to this channel. Again, I don't care how big or how small. I appreciate all of it. And again, if you cannot donate, that is fine by me. All I simply ask is that you continue to support and you continue to view the channel, continue to engage, like, share, and most importantly, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network. I appreciate you guys joining me. Until next time, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. I got more lockdown coverage to come, so don't you go anywhere. I'll see you in a bit.